It's the beginning of a new week. We don't expect to get much done this week. We've got Sara's son over here for a visit. He goes back on Friday. We're going to have a house. We're going to have a yurt warming party today after lunch. There's a few things that I need to do before everyone arrives, and that's fixing some of the garden furniture and having a bit of a tidy up further around the land. So let's have a look at the site of the next project. Apparently there's a law in Portugal that if there's no gate, you can wander onto the land. If there is a gate, then it's against the law. So, whilst I had the guys here digging the drive, I got them to dig some foundations, some gate posts. But what I need to do first is actually establish the position of these gate posts. Well, that's not a today job. Today's thinking about that. So yeah, get this garden furniture out and see what I can do with it. Alright, the bolts I had were 10 mil too short, so I had to find an alternative and cut them out. And this will do for now. Oh, that was a pain. It was M8 bolts to bolt the top on, and then M6 bolts at the bottom, and the ones I had were too short by 10mm, so I've managed to find them, and it's fairly secure. I just need to pick up the correct bolts when I get back to the UK and bring them back. Yeah. You see, I'll find them in the van now. Sometimes you have to go through these things to find things. Wow. It's a bit flooded outside here. It's not too bad, it's running past. Flowing away. So as you can see, we had quite a bit of rain last night. There was a little bit of flooding, mainly in the dip that's near the kitchen tent, and we had a bit of a stream running past the doorway of the yurt. So I think we're going to dig some sort of swale or ditch to try and divert that. But let's have a look at the rest of the land. Well, the drive hasn't been washed away, which is good, but my gate posts trenches have filled up, but this looks all good. The workshop did get flooded though. There's some puddles, nothing got damaged, and everything was kind of off the ground anyway, but I think I need to dig some drainage down the side of it, down there, and see if we can't get it draining off over here somewhere. As you can see, the threshold on the doorway here is, well, was pretty much level or a little bit lower than the rest of it. So that needs sorting out. So it's good that we've had the rain.
This dip in the land here could potentially be a well. We're not really sure, an old well that's been covered up. So you may see, maybe Matt can edit a little bit of footage in of when the water flows, when we have a lot of rain. This swells up in quite a perfect circle, and we suspect that there's an old well under here. So I'm going to do some digging, some archaeology and investigation. Right, so this is the hole that we did, a bit of a test hole, and it's quite deep. So when we drop a spade down there, it does seem to be hitting something hard, and it is kind of echoing. I don't know. My intuition tells me that this was a well, and somebody's covered it over with some sort of block and beam. They normally use concrete beams, I believe, and then covered it over with soil, and over time that soil has settled into the circle of the well. So just to be on the safe side, I have a cunning plan.
I've got a plan so cunning you could put a tail on it and call it a weasel.
What I'm thinking is, this actually would be a really nice flower bed just outside the yurt, going up to the house, and we can put paths around the flower bed, make it like a raised circular round bed just in the shape of the well. We could even call it the well, to sort of help people be aware that there might be a great chasmous hole underneath, but it will also stop people from walking directly over it. We don't want the water to come down the land this way, collect here, and then soak into underneath where the yurt is. We want to carry the water away from there. So we'll do something else up there regarding drainage. This puddle that forms here is a problem. So instead of creating swales, which we will probably do later on, for those of you who don't know what a swale is, it's a sort of way of managing drainage on the land and capturing, harvesting water for the crops you want to grow, using the gradient of the land in quite a clever way to just let the water naturally meander more slowly through the land, creating more hydration, which is going to be really important here in the summer. But right now, in all of the rains of the autumn and going into winter, we've got the opposite problem. We've got a slight flooding problem when the rain comes down really, really heavily. So I'm trying to create here what will be a raised bed. And you can see I've got some roof tiles here, and I've started putting them in a bit of a circle. These are old roof tiles, obviously. They're tapered at one end, fatter at the other. So I'm alternating fat and thin ends around the edge, like so. I shall use an additional row of tiles going the other way to interlock and form this sort of wavy edge. Because this was potentially a well in the past, and because it's right outside our front door, it's going to create this sort of beautiful, hopefully, once it's all planted up, little place to saunter past and consider, to notice, to take in. I wanted to include something along the lines of well-being in the name for this. I like to name things. I like to name the trees. I like to give things a little nickname. And I think I'm going to call this the Being Well. I could call it the Well-Being Well, but that's a bit of a mouthful. I think actually the Being Well sums it up for me. It's about being, and I think this whole project, this whole land house renovation is all about being well. And if this is the Being Well, it's a place to just pause, stop, consider. It's also where we retreat to, being the yurt here. At the end of the day, we've been working, come back to being well, noticing yourself, sitting down, just taking stock of things. And this, I think, eventually will be full of flowers, but perhaps first of all I shall just plant it full of cabbages or something. Because water naturally pools here as well, this is going to be a very well hydrated bed. That's the thinking, and it hopefully will also solve this flooding problem. So yeah, watch this space. We've got some nice rotting down material in here, But we've also got a lot of roots, and what I've learnt from over there in the vegetable patch is that it will just grow. Grass will grow. We've got a real fern problem with the bracken ferns. I'm not going to pick through every square inch and get every root out of here. So I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to get the big stuff out. I'm going to give it a bit of a turning over. So it's not a no-dig bed, but what I am going to do is take off a lot of this loose material that I've managed to dig out. I've got a wheelbarrow full of it at the moment, but I'm going to take a few more barrows out of here. I'm going to pick through it, stamp down the soil around these roof tiles to create the edge, backfill with some of that soil, stamp it down, and then I'm going to put a thick layer of cardboard over the top. I've got some compost which is not quite finished, but I've been making it in a bin over there, sort of speeding it up, a bit of a swift compost. Going to add that to the bottom. Then I'm going to add some compost that I've bought, and I'm going to plant some seeds in that, and then I'm going to add some of the mulch materials that I collected earlier on in the year, just to help keep the moisture in and stop other things from taking root in here and seeding themselves. And we'll see what happens. Like anything here, it's going to be a work in progress, but hopefully we'll have some lovely results to show for it.
One of my jobs today is to clear this out, get rid of all this debris, take the floorboards up, which I can repurpose for shuttering for the gate posts. The rest of them I can use for shelving, and I can get all this organised because I can't find a thing. It's so frustrating. So we'll have a little look to see how I get on later on.
There is the weeded, dug over bed. Got some big piles of weeds. There's the yurt in the afternoon, early evening sun. It's just starting to set. So yeah, this is how it turned out for now. I am about to cover this. All this soil in here is what was there already. I've just picked through the weeds and the roots, and I'm going to add a layer of sawdust, I've decided, before adding the cardboard. There we are, nice deep layer of sawdust. One thing we are not short of is sawdust, but it is funny how this just looks like a massive terracotta cupcake sticking out of the ground. So now the cardboard's gone on, there's a layer, two layers of cardboard thick. It's quite thick cardboard as well. So I've tried to double it up as much as possible and get into all the cracks and crevices, but it's an uneven shape, so it's difficult to fill exactly to try and stop the weeds. And of course the cardboard doesn't go outside of the bed, so I think it's inevitable we will get some weeds. But that's really why I put the sawdust in as well, to try and block the light as much as possible. Over here in the distance, I've got about 4 bags of compost which I'm going to put into this raised bed. Probably won't go very far, but we do have some amazing soil that Matt's been collecting and sifting using this sifter here from inside the house, where he's been digging out the floors, which are mostly dirt floors in the house, sifting out all the stones and rubble and bits and bobs, and that will go in there as well. And I would imagine there's probably some very well rotted animal manure in there too, so that's going to be really good for our plants.
I've had a busy couple of days doing maintenance and organising, and I've started a new project, so let's check out what's been going on. So I mowed all of the land, which I didn't intend to do actually. I filled up the tank of the lawnmower and said, right, I'll just use one tank and I'll finish when that tank's used up, thinking I'd only do sort of halfway. And use a full tank doing all of it. So Let's have a look at this. Piles of aggregate. So I'm on the gate posts. Now originally I had these massive holes dug, which wasn't the brightest idea really. I could have done a better job myself because now I've got a lot of backfilling to do and I've had to use shuttering. However, it did help me work out exactly where I want these posts, and I know this one's at a bit of a funny angle, but that's why it's wider than that one. This one's perfect. This one's a little bit big. In there we're going to have 100mm of gravel, 500mm of concrete, and then I'm going to lay one of the blocks on it, put the concrete rebar on the hollow, put the rebar in the hollow of the block and let that set. But we've got rain tomorrow afternoon. I can't imagine finishing it before then. I'm not going to pour it for it just all to flood, but I'll get as far as I can with it. And also, what's been going on in the house? So as you saw, I had a bit of a mess in the house. I needed to clear one room. I'm struggling for storage for all my stuff. And we will struggle for storage when we do move here full time. So this was a bit of an experiment. So I cleared this room out. The soil was surprisingly dry, considering how much rain we've had over the last few days. Didn't find anything untoward under there, no dead rats or anything like that. Found a load of rocks, timber. The joists were held up on rocks and timber floorboards. I mean, makes sense, right? Did actually burn one of those bits of eucalyptus last night, and it was so hard on the centre that the fire stayed in. So I was very happy. So yeah, this is starting to come together a bit more. I've still got a load of stuff to organise, but that can be done when the rain comes. But I've got most of the tools somewhere where I'm hoping they're going to stay dry, but we'll see. But first, it's coffee time, and then I'm going to cut down these shutters so they're nice and level, so I know where to pour to, and then I'm going to make the rebar cages. It's all exciting stuff, isn't it? So it's the next day. Let's have a look, see how I got on yesterday with pouring concrete foundations. Now I had to make a reinforced steel cage to go inside these blocks, but I got the first one done, so let's check it out. There we go. And there's the steel cage. It's not quite straight and square, it's roughly the right dimensions, but it's not easy doing rebar, not as easy as it looks. I made a basic jig, just had a quick look on the internet to see how it's done over it, and it's kind of got it roughly the right dimension. So I sank this into the concrete, I put this in, got it nice and level, because I needed to put this block in first so I could get this in the correct position, and this will move. I mean, I can move it, and then I'll put maybe 3 up, fill it with concrete, another 3 concrete, and then we've got this one. But I've made this one bigger because I wasn't quite sure what the position's going to be in relation to that, so it's given me a bit more wriggle room. So unfortunately, rain's going to halt play on doing that other foundation. We've got probably about 4 or 5 days worth of rain, and the problem is that those holes fill up with water, so it's not like I can just cover it over and hope for the best. So there's plenty of other things I can get done in the wet, so that's what I'll do.